Oh, well, hello, everybody. How are you today? You know, what if this day was the day you've been waiting for? I woke up this morning and I was given, through various methods I use, that this was going to be an extraordinary day and something incredible was going to happen. So I'm anticipating that with gratitude because Dolores Cannon says, give the gratitude before the event arrives. So maybe you out there can experience the same thing just in the course of, the Kathleen Francis Show. I think I'm Kathleen, I'm not sure. It's usually Kathleen and a cast of hundreds. Try living in this body and it might be an interesting experience. So stay right where you are. We've got something quite interesting to share with you today, but we will be right back. We're in the Humankind Center studio as we record our shows. And we want to do a little shout out for everybody so that you know the Humankind Center is something that we are inviting everybody to be part of. And there are lots of community events here locally in Sedona, Arizona. But even if you are a member wherever you are, you get to experience whatever the events are at the Humankind Center. So we have a wonderful ability to connect through an app that John Strayers created. And tell us about the app.
So you can actually download the app on Google, and soon you'll be able to download it on iTunes and coming soon to Fire TV. So what makes Humankind different? Everything. One, it's created by someone who actually has the care for men, women, and children around the globe at the foundation of this. And truth and freedom, and with knowledge that may be new to you, with great music and understandings, and hearing real people talk about things that are amazing and beautiful and real and connecting. That's really what Humankind is, because the quicker people awaken, the freer the world is. It's really a chance to be part of a start of not just a network, but a movement of community to the positive, peaceful, light-filled healing side.
Yeah, this was supposed to be a 30-second spot. All right, get your butt in gear and become one of us at the Humankind Center. Okay. We are back, and we're back with another wonderful segment with the lovely Robbin Leigh Hill. Robbin, welcome.
Mahalo.
So the first thing she said to me before we started was, I have no idea what you're going to ask me. And I said, you know what? I don't either. But I know we're here together in the ambiance of the Humankind Center, which again, we always invite you to get familiar with and find out what the Humankind Center is all about. Be part of it, because a gathering of souls can create powerful experiences.
That's right.
Movements, change the world. Why not? Why not be one of those? I think that...
and John, who started it, that's definitely his goal and mission.
Yes!
It's definitely his goal and mission. It's really special what's going on here. So those of you watching, make sure that you post it on all your socials. This is a new network being created for you, governed by you, in a historic kind of way that lets your hearts and your knowledge guide.
Awesome. I like what you just said. So, Robbin, if you watched our last show, just in case not everybody saw the last show, can you give a little capsule before we get into the meat of it?
I can. I see I have a friend.
Oh, it's just a little fairy coming to touch your eyebrow.
Thank you, fairy. It might have been in the shape of a bug, but sometimes that's how they do. So in the last segment, I'm coming out, and that can look different for a lot of different people or beings or people's life path. For mine particularly, I'm coming out as a non-standard human being. And it's one thing to say, and it's actually not even wanted to be said unless it was this time. Unless it was the time where the harmonic convergence, the lifting of the veil, which is all a part of the same thing, and the, let's say, global traction of people waking up had reached a certain precipice. And where the fight, the war for humanity, and the help that's already on the ground, and in the in-between places where that comes to a crux point. We are in that crux point. So that's basically what's going on. And I've spent a lot of time for the last 11 years with copious amounts of witnesses, testimony, proof, to a lot of unusual events since I had my wake-up call, because I did not know that I was different. And just to give a quick snapshot, I found out in 2014. Before that, I taught tax law, I ran banks, I was pretty much in the financial industry and a mom, and I just didn't know that there was anything different. I didn't know that, but other people did. And so my life has been very tracked by groups for decades and decades and decades and decades. And then in my 40th year, I had my wake-up call. Pictures started showing up where it's clear that something different is going on with my physicality. And I want to say something about that I don't think I hit last week. There are beings out there. Like, we're all energy. So people look different at different times, just generally anyway, because we're all energy, and the new cameras today capture it. Then there's beings that have studied in ashrams, and they've studied practices, and they can levitate, and they can do all sorts of things. That's not me. I literally woke up and took a picture and started doing things. And as beautiful as some of the gifts and some of the things were, it was also because I didn't know what was going on. It was jarring to my system. And blessedly, during my wake-up call, which was ordained before birth and ordained during this time, I did not know what was going on. And I've been kept from a lot of this kind of knowledge most of my whole entire life. So for me, I didn't have podcasts or books or friend groups to draw upon. I just knew just Source and I. And so that's how I went about things. And so I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed some more. And then I finally started understanding, and to help me on my journey, because I'm a very pragmatic cat. I taught tax law. I was in real estate and banking, and I was a Boy Scout mama for a bit too. And during my wake-up call, I'm so grateful for this, because my Heavenly A-team made sure that this is the case. And at the time, I didn't know how important it would be. At the time, I had no idea that I would ever be interviewed. And for those of you who didn't catch last week's segment, my voice was a lot shakier, because it was the first time I've come out on camera about these kinds of things. And it wasn't wanted that I do unless the crux point was occurring. Well, it's occurring, so I'm doing the thing. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's a little
daunting.
Unnerving. It's a little daunting.
Yeah.
So I've transfigured, and I don't just mean look a little different. I mean completely look like other nationalities, other ages, different color eyes. Sometimes you can see through me. I become more diaphanous, things of this nature. And it's been not only captured on camera a lot, it's been a lot of people have seen it, and a lot of people in Sedona. And like, let's just say you go into a restaurant, you think you're having a cheeseburger, and all of a sudden there's a being in front of you with their eyes glowing, transfiguring. That kind of stuff's been happening in the last year. So we're going to get into some of that and some of the witnesses and things of this nature. It's one thing to hear something like that, right? Because most of you have probably knew or figured that there were other kinds of beings out there. There's tons of beings meant to help you. There's tons of benevolent races, tons of benevolent beings, angelic class, archangelic class, pleroma. You have Nordic races, Pleiadian races. You have so much help out there.
And a lot of children now.
And a lot of children.
They're doing a lot of testing now with children, putting blindfolds on them. And I know that's one of the things that you also had experienced, driving blindfolded.
Yes.
And not having, the sight comes from a different place in your being. And, I know these things are emerging. The questions sometimes that people would have. I mean, I had a strange experience because Jeffrey Berta was living with me a couple of years ago, and he said, "Your eyes changed color," and I thought he was crazy. See, and I thought, "What are you on, Jeffrey?" No, I mean it's happening. I mean, compared to you, what happens to me is minuscule compared to the verification that you are showing. And the next segment, we're going to have demonstration and verification of what she's talking about. I've captured a lot of things on camera because I am a photographer as well, and I'm hoping to take a camera to you and see what the universe might demonstrate. Could we talk a little bit about how does it feel to be someone like you are?
So that's, I've actually been asked that this week.
So you've got an answer for me.
Well, no, because I've already blanked out. I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful to still have a skin suit. Obviously, for those of you watching, and I think you're probably going to see it on this segment, you're going to see something. And sometimes the most prolific videos or the most prolific pictures, whoever holds them, they then get hacked into. But most of us here around these tapings were aware of that. Even like at Tesla Tech, when I was interviewed, specifically only me when I talked, they went to Tesla Tech and they took out my audio from 3 separate cameras. And here's the thing about this. You don't have this kind of stuff going on unless you got something actually going on. And you don't have helicopters over your house for a decade unless you actually have something going on. Here's what's going on. And then I'll explain that. So beings are here for you. Beings that you've been waiting on. Beings known by other names. And most of the iconography, most of what anyone thinks about certain beings has been really hacked at. That's the truth. It doesn't matter this name, this religion, this name, this religion. Benevolence is here for you. Grace is here for you. This is the time. There are beings that are the highest levels of the throne team that currently leave feet, and that's a big statement to make. But there is proof. Lots of proof. There are beings here that are some of the highest levels of the most benevolent races. And then you've got so many different benevolent beings that chose to be here in this time. Some have markers. Some have the M's on their hands. Some have the O-negative blood. O-negative blood can also be other things. It's easier to ride the O-negative fiber, if you will, if you're an interdimensional race. Some beings can operate in many different realms and existences at the same time. Some have more limited focus. Right now on the planet, it's that time because you're loved. And it's not something to be scared of. One religion says this, religion says that, religion's man-made. Truth is creator-made. So this flies above any religion, any religious text, any prophecy. That being said, there's so much math for some of us that are written into all the major religions and prophecies.
Yes.
So much, so that you're not going to miss it here. There's pictures, you're not going to miss it there. There's even the wake-up call through pictures. You're not going to miss it there. And we're here. And for you, and for some of you, you're here on mission too. And so it looks different for everyone. Everyone has a role. It's all equally important. And I equate it to a football team a lot. You have the person that does the, they make the touchdown. Thank you. You're the person that does the touchdown. But in order to make that touchdown, you had the person that just tried and ran the ball 5 more yards. And then you have the mascot who people are like, what's that cat doing? But he's keeping the crowd buoyant. Well, that crowd may be a prayerful crowd. That's helping keep then the mascot buoyant, that then's helping push the needle, move the needle, move the needle. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day who's on the cameras. There is so much love and benevolence here to help humanity, to not just wake you up, but to deliver technology, information, and in the safest possible way, for this is the strike time, and this is the time of heart decision time. And you haven't been left alone. You've never been left alone. It was just lies that told you so. So we're here. Some of us are coming out like this. Some of us can do what most of you might think are miraculous things or extraordinary things. The truth is that most of you can do extraordinary, all of you actually can do extraordinary things. It just might look different from one person to one person because that's how you're made. It's just a lie that kept this from you. So
let me ask you this, and then we'll get back to how you feel. What do you think the representation of who you are and how you're showing up is the purpose as you're bringing this into the awareness of others? Are you here to demonstrate what's possible so that others can jump into that same kind of frequency of ability? Because, I mean, I've always, even as a child, I've always felt I had these powers. I mean, my mother died when I was like 5 years old, and they buried her in our family tomb, basically. It was an underground thing, and there was this huge, heavy metal, I mean, I'm talking huge, with handles, and somehow this 6-year-old kid, and I figured out a way to do it, I grabbed the handle on one side and used my legs to just lift it enough to slide it. And I went down into that tomb, and I thought I could bring my mother back to life. That's what I felt as a child. Now, if we look back into some of the history of our own lives, because the only thing we have is this vehicle here to have a comprehension of who we are in the sort of reality that we're trying to figure out. Maybe not everybody even wants to figure it out, but some of us have had a passion since we were little, right? And I try to connect the dots all the time, remembering, God, this was when I was 2 years old. Oh, now I see why. Because Dolores Cannon, in all of her body of work, says there were no accidents in anything in our lives.
That's right.
So can you connect the dots to see why you are here at this point in your evolved state, and what do you think the primary reason that you're showing up this way?
Sure.
Small question, right?
Thank you.
I figured you could answer it.
We'll see what flies out. So I didn't know. So I didn't have those feelings when I was younger. I had my wake-up call when I turned 40, literally in my 40th year. And like I said, it was tumultuous, but my heart knew that it was being called for something. And after years and years of prayer and going through all sorts of things, refiner's fire and face plant, I probably 300 plus face plants, just like spiritual face plants. And then on my journey, because I was catching attention behind the scenes, it brought about unexpected dangers to my family and I, and unexpected circumstances. So I was trying to figure out what was going on while these kinds of things that were going on, and I didn't talk to people because I knew just Source and I also didn't even I didn't want to bring danger to people, and I didn't know who was benevolent and who wasn't, because I knew benevolent people were also watching out for my family and I. So year after year after year, I just kept trying. And I was just trying to honor, and I would get more and more learning year after year. So my answer 10 years ago is different from my answer 8 years ago, 5 years ago, from my answer today. And my job is not to actually bring everyone into their gifts. There's a lot of beings here that can do that. There's a lot of beings here that can bring forward the new technologies and help bridge the gap of knowledge between the new technologies and the previous understandings with knowledge base and learning and things of that nature. And some of them I'm interviewing in the next few weeks. So there's lots of beings like that here, and ones to help people integrate and to help people understand that what you see is really less than 10% of what is actually there. You know, you're seeing what you perceive. What you perceive is based on a lot of different factors. And in this time, in general, as the veil lifts, what you perceive will become greater for most of you. That's just the fact. So,
and just so everybody knows, do watch her own podcast. She has her own podcast with some extraordinary people that are on that same level, bringing forward some, extraordinary things that have been there and been hidden from us, kept from us. And, I have friends who still think that that's a bunch of bull, but guess what? We're here to demonstrate it.
that's right.
We're here to demonstrate it.
These are the days where you just have to, always, especially now, because also we're all only present right now, you have to align with truth and make that your mantra. Make sacred truth your North Star. Make source truth your North Star. And when you do that and you focus your attention there, the resonance become there. So a lot of these other people, a lot of these other things that could distract or pull you away from what's actually true will start to fall away. Or something may come in to sharpen you, to sharpen your resolve, to help you step forward stronger. That's what all my 300 face plants taught me, 300 plus face plants taught me. Because there were times where during this journey, so what it's like to be me, there were times on this journey to where pictures would be taken of me and I didn't look like me. And it's not a gimmick, it's not a trick, it's
not Photoshop.
Yeah, I grew up thinking like I was everyone else. And so when all of a sudden you find out, okay, you're not like everyone else, but you ain't even human to a great degree, like you barely human. It's a thing. It's a shock to the system, really.
It's a challenge to be able to embody what you're experiencing and to manage the internal, I don't even know what to call it, but how to balance, and to be able to bridge the gap between who you are in this moment and then what happens when things that are other dimensional occurs while you're there. I've had those moments too, and when you even share them with other people, you feel weird because they're going to think you're crazy.
They're a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs
Right.
all day long.
So,
Until you transfigure something in front of them. And
Yeah.
I just had this happen in the last few weeks, actually, to where someone had heard some things and then I made a comment and they said, yeah, well, when I see it, I'll believe it. And my former husband and friend, he saw and we were actually former by the time he saw things, which is good. He saw like 400 something things. And there was a point where I was like at about, I don't know, 200 or something. He kept being like a naysayer. And he saw so much, and he's like, Robbin, I know, but I'm just too close to it, and it can be scary. I think you're probably going to end up interviewing him. He's like, this is scary stuff. like sometimes it's beautiful, but sometimes it's really just scary.
Yeah.
And he said one time there'll be one that is like the one too many, and it's going to put me over the edge. He said, because I have blocks on it. Most people don't need that many times of things, but the closer you are and the more you've known me one way.
Yes.
I think about the story about how Ishua had to leave his town, right? And this is not just unique to Ishua. It's you have to leave where you're from so that people can see you with fresh eyes.
Oh, God, that's so true. And, I was just talking to Ray Miller, who works with me on my team, and she was talking about the fact that, in the Old Testament, people talked to angels, and these things were commonplace.
That's right.
And, so people, I don't know if people reading the Old Testament believe, the things that are there, these other dimensions, like, when Daniel and his followers, and they were put into the fire and they weren't burned, and Daniel wasn't eaten by the lion. Those were real events that occurred. And somehow I think that the powers that seem to be in charge have blocked first of all, I think for us to have a recognition of what is possible allows us to be that, to demonstrate it. But the objective was to dumb us down, kill our pineal gland with fluoride and chemtrails. Yeah, chemtrails really do have a bunch of shit in it. So, we won't go there, because I just recently had a friend say, "Oh, Kathleen, that is just, you believe that?" Yeah, hello, you don't by now, come on. But
Tell her to watch, just look up Ariana Victor, plug for Ariana Victor, and her phenomenal documentary that has some of the best weaponized weather and weather modification experts and people from the Pentagon and government and scientists come out that really give a good explanation, and it's done in a humorous fashion, so it makes it more digestible.
Yes, please.
Just look up Ariana Victor.
Because what astonishes me is, and this is someone that I worked with a lot. I mean, in the human potential movement, we were buddies, and I was involved with that 7 days a week. Smart guy. And yet, what is it that has people so committed to their perspective that there is no opening of possibility for what we know scientifically to be true? So,
So, at first I didn't know. It was a while before I would even subscribe to Messenger. And there's so much proof. There was numbers, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different events that have occurred that have had witnesses, that have had the availability for pictures, documentation, not just by my hand or by people around me, but by military, intelligence, researchers, press, things of this nature. So before I answer your question, if I hadn't have had that, if I hadn't have had people around me, I would have been under the bed chewing my fingers, more than likely. That's the actual true story. Because my journey since my wake-up call has been so surreal. So surreal.
I can imagine.
See, I had my wake-up call. Again, I was in banking and tax law and things like that. And when I had my wake-up call, I had no idea about so much of the stuff that most of you know about and the understanding that I have today. I didn't really believe angels were real. I didn't really believe the aliens were real. I'd seen Signs, the movie Signs. Don't recommend it. Scared the stew out of me. These were my only frames of references. And I wanted to believe the angels were true, but I didn't even really think about it. I was not a very heavily indoctrinated person, thankfully. So not to any religion and not to history or anything like that. In fact, I failed history, junior high, college, all of the things. Now I know it's because my spirit knew it was a bunch of bunk, but I just couldn't pass history.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's part of what it is. We're actually it's just like today, they want to change our history. And that was done also in the past. So the truth of things has been hidden from us very purposefully. And, it's as you say, and as many out there are saying, it is time.
it is time.
It is time.
Iefos.
Yeah.
One of the ways I like to explain what this time is, just to give people a good visual, is it is the lifting of the veil. That's what the word apocalypse, that comes from the word apocalyptica, means. It means to lift the veil. to separate truth and illusion. People turned it into an Armageddon-like scenario because they want an Armageddon-like scenario. And you have people that still think that they're going to get away with things in this time. So let me explain this to all of those of you watching, and then those of you who are watching who think you're getting away with some stuff, who watch a lot of our shows. So this is the lifting of the veil time. This is not a sneak peek, back alley Marilyn Monroe show. Okay, we don't lift the veil and then put it back down. We don't, and then it goes back down. No, it comes up, it comes up, it comes up, and then we in full Monty mode. Because that's what time it is on the planet. So asking what my role is to let you know that it's that time on the planet. And also that it is the time of, some will say judgment. It is the time of choice. It is the time of reconciliation. I prefer the term reconciliation. It is the time where reconciliation has come with grace, and that grace is shrouded as far as east is to west. It does not matter what religion you subscribe to, or if you don't subscribe. It does not matter your beautiful, perfect skin color. It does not matter your beautiful, perfect gender. It does not matter your culture, your country flag, your family name, your bank account. It doesn't matter any of that. This is the time. And you are loved. And so this time has not come with hellfire and brimstone. It's come with proof, on top of proof, on top of technology, on top of knowledge, on top of freedom, all of it shrouded in grace. And especially the grace that says, hey, we know that you've been lied to. We know you grew up under an enslavement situation. We know that you've been indoctrinated since before birth. We know this. And there's grace for that. There's mercy for that. There's compassion for that. And now it's time to be the men and women that you were born to be, watching this in this time to stand up and rise and help break this enslavement cycle once and for all. And that is a powerful movement. That is creator-backed. There's a phrase that a lot of you know, right? Wherever two or more are gathered. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not two or more for one religion. It's two or more in heart focus. It's two or more in actual pure intent and care that is rooted in love. Where that is creators back, and that is by exponents. So sometimes people will come to me and they're like, oh, this and that, and they're so angry, and anger is going to take over, the mob mentality. It's true. Mob mentality is a real thing. Creator-backed movement is by exponents. It always wins. This is why love always wins, because it's creator-backed, because it's what you're made from. And you forgot that. Rather, it was stolen from most of you. And it was hijacked into different religions, so you get a snippet of it if you toe this line and you're separate from your brothers and sisters. That's your brothers and sisters. You ain't separate. You loved, you won, you together. And it's beautiful and perfect. Your differences, well, what you consider differences, think about a garden. And I've heard this before from other people, and I like to use it. Good things are good or worth repeating, no matter who came up with them. You have a garden, and it's beautiful with all the different color flowers and the textures and the different heights of things. That's what makes a garden. Not 1,000 gray flowers just sitting there looking like this. That's not a garden. That's a version of hell. And that's another point to this time. This whole conformity, this whole, one world this, and how about one world of peace? How about one world of taking care of kids? Now, one of the things, and when I say taking care of kids, I'll use the term kids a lot, or children. From my heart perspective, I mean between 7 and 70. So they all beings are really children in the eyes of the Most High and the throne team. Mm-hmm. And are loved like that. Like, you all are loved like that. Not a hellfire and brimstone punish. The reason for the commandments is love. Just like, and I use this example, and so I'm bringing this back to what I'm teaching while I'm here, things of that nature. Those of you who have children, you teach your children, like, don't put your finger in a light socket. right? Well, why do you do that? Because, you don't want that to happen. That's going to be a bad day, probably a sorrowful one, right? You tell your, don't throw poo on the ceiling. Why? Because it's going to fall back on you, right? You do these things to keep your child from harm, whether it be physical harm or emotional harm, or scars that they're going to have trouble walking through life with and not unloading out of their spiritual backpack that they're born with. In the same way, commandments were placed, lovingly given. The languaging around the commandments has been hacked up. So instead of thou shalt not, it should be talking about what to do so you stay on that track, especially in a land where people are very recidivist and want to do the exact opposite. I know this. I have feet here too. I've definitely been a part of that train too. Sometimes still am. It's important to understand that this time comes not just with proof. It comes with an instruction manual, and it comes with a whole lot of help. Between John and Kathleen and I and some of the people that we work with, the best astrophysicists on the planet, the people with the most amazing knowledge and education in one area over here, another area over here, another area over here, and now the best technology for, I don't even want to say, and I don't even want to say free energy because it is free already. People have just tried to whore on it and monopolize it. We're done with that. We're not feeding that kind of stuff anymore. Technology for stuff like this, to clean the water, to clean the air, to even clean chemtrails, to revitalize the trees, to green the deserts. This already exists right now on the planet. Technology to regrow limbs exists right now on the planet. Yeah. Technology to have paraplegics walk in under 2 weeks exists right now on the planet. It's time to get it deployed, and it's time for people to know that. And it's time to make sure that every child has a few things, which are their birthright. And this is children of all ages. That they are free, that they know that they are equally loved, and that is reflected, since culturally that has not been reflected at all. In fact, one of the reasons why the world has gotten where it is the war on the mothers, basically, or the mother. And then that turned into war on the mothers, which turned into war on the daughters. And anytime something goes out of that kind of symbiosis, you get where we're at today. The water poison, air poison, people bowing down to reptiles. Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Leave my lizards alone.
And listen, the lizard's just being a lizard, right? I don't even blame a lizard. Lizard's just being a lizard. So you get the conditions where we are today. And every child should grow up knowing that their worth, and their worth is everything. And they're equally loved. Every perfect skin suit, male and female, equally loved, equally worthy, always has been. Anything that has told anything different is a lie. And here's where it's not the point to point of, oh, this religion did that, that group did that, they did this to women. No, we're here now. The point is to do the right thing now. Honor now. And honoring is above a religious anything. You are either with an honoring creator or you're going against, period. So those of you from this point on in this evolutionary education that's being delivered on the planet and the truth that is coming in during this lifting of the veil and soon to be full Monty time, constantly reinforcing truth is very, very, very important. And it may go against some of your cultures, and it does. It's a problem that your culture had, not that truth has. And that's a very different understanding. So it's your job, it's your onus as a child of the Most High. It is your onus, all of you who are watching this, to speak truth. To speak truth about how loved men and women of every beautiful skin color, everywhere around the world, they are equally loved. And it's the job of governments and organizations and groups to have it reflected in their laws. And if they don't, they will be known as antiquated and against the Most High.
Well, you know, it's interesting because what came across to me just last night, it was just one of those brief video clips. In Texas, a Muslim leader came to a shop, a Muslim shop, and they greeted them with their normal way that Muslims greet each other. And he said, I come here in love. And he basically told them, the things that you're selling in this shop are against Islam. And I'm just letting you know you have to stop doing that, because otherwise next week we can't stop you from selling these things that are against our religion, but we will be demonstrating in front of your shop until you stop. And I was like, that's happening in Texas? Whoa. The Muslims against Muslims, when Muslims simply have a shop where they're selling alcohol and so on. It's like, I was flabbergasted.
Yes, I had not heard that.
Oh, I'll try and find that clip and send it to you. There's still so much, adversity. How, in God's name, do we come up against this and move? I mean, to me, I always go for the logic. I've studied every religion. I've done Namyo Renge Kyo. I've done them all. I'm looking where, and it's come to this. It's the monad. The scientific. I love now all of what I'm immersed in with regard to the quantum field and the various names that it has, and quantum mechanics. The technology of existence is there, and what fun to be a co-creator with existence, with the Godhead, that part of us that is the truth of who we actually are. And it's about removing things, removing what is not us, to work on that, to create a new version, to make a quantum leap, which I have done recently. I have. And that shift happened like water boils. It's water until it isn't in that instant. And to reacquaint yourself with your new self is a job in itself. That transformation's been happening with me. That's why I'm curious to know, how does it feel when you made that shift, that transition from who you thought you were into who you, this is who I really am.
A Donnybrook. For those of you old enough to know what that word means, it's like all bleep is breaking loose. It was very rough those first many years, because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on, and I would look different. I could do different things, but it wasn't comfortable. And it was upsetting people who knew me, frankly.
I'll bet.
I mean, all of a sudden I look different or I sound different, and I can't explain things at that point. Well, now I can better. Well, that was mostly for my learning, not just my learning, but for some others, up until 2020. And in 2020, I moved to Maui, and I did not. So from 2014 to 2020, I was pretty much alone with this, with the exception of some people around me. And then there were witnesses to things and things of that nature. And then a lot of attention had been attracted from 2014's when things got a little flashy. There was a lot of events in the sky as well. Oh, I need to send you the testimony tapes of someone who witnessed a lot of stuff in the sky.
Oh, good.
So,
and we are going to have we don't have everything in this segment, but on the next segment, we're going to have a lot of what verifies everything that she's talking about today. Okay?
Oh, and you're going to be interviewing Joy. Joy has a show here. Most of you know her as Astrologer Babe. She's one of my closest friends. And she's one of my closest friends now, but she wasn't when we first met. And she's put herself on camera talking about it, and I'll let her go through some of this with you. But let's just say she was instrumental in helping my wake-up call, as were a number of others in Maui. because they were seeing things. So it was like the want, and it would freak me out. I would literally sometimes run out of the room. It's no joke. Sometimes I would start glowing, and I freaked out a Fox News producer who was filming me, and I'm talking about the lion's love for humanity, and I'm talking about how loved beings are and that they haven't been forgotten. And this is in 2022, mind you. I'm being filmed, and his name is Patrick. He's a 20-year Fox News vet, and he also worked on The Painful Truth, and he's done a number of other things. And I knew sometimes he volunteered, and I was trying to get a message out, and so I reached out to him, and I said, this is actually a great story. I reached out to him, and I'm like, hey, it's Robbin. We worked on The Painful Truth together. I know you have a business, and you've already been doing like some charity work. I'm wondering if you have any more time for some charity work, because I need to get some stuff filmed, and and it needs to look really professional, and I don't have any money. So it's cool if that's not okay, because I know you have a lot going on, but I thought I'd reach out and ask. And he says, and this is no joke, he says, I need to run it by Ishua first. I said, what? I didn't know this man. I didn't know this man. I didn't know this man personally. So, and I said, what? And he said, yes, I don't take on any projects, especially like this, unless I run it through prayer. And I'm like, I got this on lock. I was arrogant for a hot minute. Then he didn't call back. Then he didn't call back. You know, he didn't call back. And I reached back out to him, and I'm like, oh, that's what I get for being all, oh, okay. Because I had just started, oh, thank you. I had just started to like believe in myself a little bit. And when I say that, there's been so much proof. If I didn't have all the proof, and I didn't have all the witnesses, I wouldn't be able to sit here strongly like I can. I needed it. So,
Oh, of course you did.
So I say this also because I understand I've needed thousands of points of proof. I've needed it. I am a logical, pragmatic cat, and this is happening to me. And I'm faithful, and I don't want to lead anyone down a wrong road of something is happening that isn't happening. So when these various things would happen, I would bring in more witnesses, more testimony. I'd do double blind, triple blind. I'd Rorschach people, the whole thing. I'd show them a picture. What's that? Who's that? That's me. No, those aren't your eyes. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. You know, I would do things like this. So anyway, 2022, I'm with a Fox News producer, and he starts, he's setting up 3 cameras. We've got full lights. And I'm so grateful. Oh, well, let me backtrack actually. So I don't hear from him, and then I finally call him, and I said, hey, and now I'm all like, hey, you know, I'm just wondering if you thought about it, if you considered, if you put it through prayer. He said, I was just about to call you.
Oh, I love that.
He said, I don't know what's going on with you. And again, his name is Patrick, and I think, you know, he'll testify to all this, and some of it's on camera. He still holds some of the cameras, some of the tapes. And he said, I don't know what's going on with you, but I put it in prayer, and I was told to clear my entire week, and I have paying clients, and I'm not to accept anything more than 1 glass of water from you. And I'm to do your editing and anything you need all week long.
So he's a little bit tuned in.
And I was shocked and grateful and humbled.
Sure.
And got another lesson, because I've been learning this whole time too, right? Like, you know, not your timing with feet, Robbin. You let things play out. So he starts interviewing me, or not interviewing me, I'm talking about the Lion's Love for Humanity. It's right before I take the Global Freedom Alliance to Mexico. I'm getting a little banned and blocked with satellite comm dropped outs and stuff, because now I'm transfiguring in front of people. I'm giving speeches and transfiguring. It's catching a lot of attention. And there's a video of me in front of a Wailuku voting thing, and dimensions are breaking all around me, and this was captured on multiple people's iPhones. I can give you links to that too.
Yeah, that's great.
So we start out, And I start talking, and his face looks all squirrely. And I said, are you okay? And he takes a step back from the camera. He said, And this is how he looks, and I have no idea what he's going to say. And he says, I've seen you look like 10 different people in under 5 minutes. and he doesn't look okay. And I said, oh, yeah. So, and this is like my first time addressing it. This is how smooth I was. So it's a few years later, I've gotten a little better. I said, I'm not some shape-shifting reptile that flies out of my mouth. And I'm all like on the verge of tears. So how does it feel to be me? This is an example. Okay. I'm like, I'm not some shape-shifting reptile. And he's like, I know. He's like, I put it in prayer. He said, you have one of the holiest gifts of transfiguration. And I said, yes. But I'm just now learning stuff and knowing how to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
He said, I know, I put it through prayer. He said, I'm just going to need a second. It's one thing to read about, it's another thing to see.
Well, we're going to look forward to that because our segment is now coming to a close.
Is it really?
It is. We're actually, yeah. I mean, we could probably sit here for another 10 hours, and I'm thinking about that. So, maybe anyway, that's another story. But I do hope you continue to watch, and we will have in the next segment some of the things that Robbin has disclosed to us so that you can see this for yourself. So how's that for changing your day? I hope you enjoyed it. And Robbin, it's always a privilege to be with you, sweetie. I really do appreciate your being on the show. I know it's a privilege and an honor to be able to have you as one of my guests. And you always bring it, girlfriend. And just so you know, her hands are ice cold. I'm boiling, and she explained to me that that's what happens when she starts kind of tuning in. So with that, I'm going to say mahalo. I don't even know what
mahalo.
it means.
Yes, mahalo so much, and thank you. It means thank you for the opportunity. I've been very fortunate. So just to one more thing, how does it feel to be me? Grateful, and sometimes very different. How anyone who's so very like different would feel, and then I hermit a lot. I hug trees a lot. By the way, if you haven't hugged a tree, I was set to donkey back in the day. If someone had talked about hugging trees, I'd be like, oh, tree hugger. Now I'm just like caressing trees.
Yes.
And go hug a tree today. It's beautiful.
Do you know, Sherry, when I worked with Shelley Winters, every time she left the house, there was a tree in front of her home, and she would go and hold the tree. So she knew on some level that that was something sacred and kept her safe. So with that, be safe all week. Come see us again. And thank you for watching.
Mahalo.
Bye-bye. Aww.
That was great.
No, you're just amazing.
I did transfigure multiple times. I could feel it.
Oh.
The camera caught it.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Amazing.
So if people slow it down or watch, I don't know how it looks. Sometimes I can't feel it. Sometimes I can. And I can feel it.
Wow. Can't wait to see that. Cool. I love it.